Good morning, everybody. Happy Thursday, April 10th, 2025. I have all of your news for your rush hour ride to work. And on today's episode, we have what is probably our final Clayton versus Gabby update, A Boy Can Dream. And it's not what they said, but what another cast member from The Bachelor had to say about it in their terrible take. But we're going to share it anyway. Also, Vanderpump's Allie Luber stops by Nick Viall's Viall Files podcast. I'll share what she had to say after ditching her man James Kennedy following his arrest. An update on Measles, and then the Baldoni legal team writes a letter to the judge. We'll discuss what that was. There'll be a lot of court documents out today in the Baldoni versus Lively case, so hang tight for those. Also, a conversation about the turbulent stock market, which of course leads to a conversation about insider trading, which just about everybody knows, and we're going to look at some graphs to prove that there was a ton of insider trading and probably billions of dollars were made as folks bought the dip, as it were. Anyhow, we got all those stories and so much more. It's all happening right now on The Rush. How's this for a crazy story? Weezer bassist Scott Schreiner's wife arrested on suspicion of attempted murder after being shot by police. What? And I know what you're thinking. Who's the bassist for Weezer? I mean, come on, no one knows the name of the bassist. Even the frontman for Weezer probably doesn't know the bassist's name. But this is, by the way, talk about being at the wrong place at the wrong time. The incident occurred on Tuesday afternoon in the East Los Angeles neighborhood of Eagle Rock, which, by the way, this looks exactly like the type of couple that lives in Eagle Rock. It's basically Silver Lake, but with more affordable homes. But at this point, it's not that affordable there either. The officers, so what they were doing is the officers were in the neighborhood because they were looking at an unrelated hit and run, and they see her through the window holding up a 9mm gun. The officers ordered Schreiner to drop the handgun numerous times. She refused, then pointed the handgun at the officers, and an officer-involved shooting occurred. Schreiner was struck by gunfire and fled into her residence. She later exited and was taken into custody. She's on $1 million bail. I mean, this is a wild story. The craziest part of this story is Weezer's playing at Coachella this weekend, and if they have to replace the bassist, nobody's going to know the difference. It's just a white guy holding a 4-string thing like this. That's all it is. I'm sure I'd be surprised if it's not a white guy when it comes to Weezer. But there's your Weezer update for the 7 or so people in the fan club. No, I know my audience of old millennials. I know you Weezer folks are passionate, and we'll get down to that story. And in more serious news, I mean, that is serious, but again, we'll have updates as they come. Measles cases in Texas rise to 505, state health department says. This after a second child has passed, an unvaccinated child. I think if you're in like public school systems, you have to be vaccinated. But I think this sort of measles spread in the Mennonite community where they don't have vaccinations. Either way, if it's at all possible, get your kid vaccinated with the measles vaccine. I mean, the thing was eradicated. It's a super deadly disease. At the very least, if you're feeling sick, please, stay home. I think we need to normalize just taking a day off. And sadly, with our hustle economy, a lot of people can't take a day off. They don't have sick leave. Now, I work from home, so I can take a day off or not take a day off. I'm still going to be here. If you guys remember, I had COVID a few years ago, got it really bad. I just powered through a Dayquil and Celsius energy drinks, and we made it happen because I was like, I'm going to have COVID whether or not I make YouTube videos. So we got high as a kite and had fun. But either way, stay at home if you can. All right, Ja Rule was cleared of wrongdoing over the Fyre Fest disaster. This is 5 years ago. But now, because he was I don't know if you guys remember, he was like attached to Billy McFarland. They were producing the festival together. There was a $100 million class action lawsuit. He was able to remove himself by the skin of his teeth. And here he is 5 years later being asked, are you part of the new Fyre Festival happening in Mexico? Here's his response.
I love it. All right, before you go, I just got to ask you, because that crazy Billy McFarland is doing another Fyre Festival.
Lord, no, he isn't.
Yes, he is. He found an island off Mexico, off Cancun. Nobody seems to know where it is, but he says he's got entertainment. It's coming up soon. Oof. What do you think?
I think we should cheers to Ever Noble.
So there he is. Look, I don't know. I haven't gone too deep into the Fyre Fest, like how complicit Ja Rule was. But either way, they called him this crazy guy. I get it. He's only crazy till it works. Fyre Fest 3.0. By the way, Fyre Fest will not have the bassist from Weezer, and I can certainly tell you they won't have the bassist wife. But maybe she'll run into Billy McFarland in the old penile system. Who knows at this rate? All right, so let's go to our next story here. All right, this is your update on the Bachelor Clayton versus Gabby story. We've covered this 3 days in a row. This is a girl named Olivia Lewis. She offers her response, but boy, does she get reckless with it, okay? So Clayton calls out Gabby after she made fun of him. She responded to Clayton. Clayton responded to her, and now we have Olivia Lewis, who, by the way, nobody asked her response. She was a night one gal from Zach Shallcross's season. I liked her on Bachelor in Paradise, but a little too hot to handle, in my opinion. Have a listen.
Hi, washed up Bachelor Nation alum here, just to give my 2 cents that nobody asked for on all this crash out behavior in Bachelor Nation drama. Let's get into it. Gabby Clayton, it's a snooze fest, okay? Gabby, I think she was in the wrong talking about that man's appearance and then trying to justify it, but what he did to her 3.5 years ago. Well, you're married. Move on, please. Like, let that man just yap on the internet. Clayton, sit this one out. For the love of God, have you not realized that anyone in the Bachelor Nation realm, men that go up against women, don't ever win? Case in point, Matt James had a racist girlfriend. Everybody thinks her racism just disappears within 4 years. That man...
And of course, my response to that was calling someone racist so flippantly is wild. This, she's talking about Rachel Kirkconnell, who in college attended an antebellum-themed party and then later, of course, got sort of like, shamed for it. And again, I came out and apologized and said I had no idea what I was at. And me personally, as a low public school educated New Englander, had no idea what antebellum themed parties were. And they've, I think for the most part, hopefully since been kind of banned from colleges. But the point being is, can we not have grace for people to try to do better? Since then, 3-4 years ago, how long it's been. Since then, Rachel Kirkconnell has been an upstanding citizen. She's got no repeat history of being problematic, this or that. So either way, and by the way, the comment section agrees. They were like, please leave Rachel alone. Like the girl, anyway, you guys get my point.
Man was probably internally battling that the entirety of this 4 years and finally realized I cannot get through this and I don't want that in a wife. Very valid. And he lost 100K followers for it. Up next, Carolina, you're still going.
Right, so then she goes into other Bachelor people. But either way, I found that comment to be extremely reckless. And I don't know, look, maybe I'm getting old here. And I know you might look at this from the outside going, Dave, you're a white guy. How are you going to say someone's racist or not racist? Well, I'm assuming Olivia Lewis here doesn't have any receipts that I'm not aware of. And I just think it's wild that we're out here calling people these names that should be reserved for people that are actually racist or anti-Semitic or whatever it is we're calling people. Like those terms have power. They should at least, and they should be reserved for people that are... Anyway, you guys get my point. It's kind of just like, yikes. And I'm not saying this to push any hate her way. I mean, for all I know, I don't think anyone's following her for her hot takes on these matters. But it's like, if we're going to live in a society that wants to do better, we have to leave room for those of us that, like Rachel, that might take a minute when they're 18, living in some super suburban part of Georgia to understand, the levity of the actions. Anyhow, you guys get my point. All right. Well, where do we go from there? I got Vanderpump updates. Here's Allie Luber. She was on Nick Vile's podcast. I'll just share this one clip with you. Allie Luber was dating James Kennedy, the DJ. And again, I'm always like, DJs, cool. Like, it's one of those, DJs are like comedians, right? It's like anyone can say they are one, but what are you doing with it? And it's like, where? So you hit the play button. I get it. But either way, he's a DJ, and in their relationship, he was sober, or at least she thought he was. And the night that it all ended was a night where someone called the cops on him, and he was arrested for domestic violence. They ended up not pressing charges, but here she is explaining how their boss, Lisa Vanderpump, actually tried to get her to go back with him. Now, the reports were that he picked her up and threw her to the ground. She denies that it was any abuse, but again, honestly, none of us were there. Have a listen.
Say she called me and she did make sure, like, are you okay? I mean, this was like 2 months later, but she called and made sure.
She called you 2 months later?
Maybe, or a month. I don't know.
Certainly not the next day.
Certainly not the next day. But she called and checked in on me. And then just, she's very protective over James. And I get it because I was too for a long time. Like, it's very motherly.
But you were in love with him.
Yeah. I was in love with him. Right. I think that she feels protected, like a mother almost to him. Yeah. And I thought that was really weird at first when I first got on the show. Then I kind of started to understand it a little more. But she was basically like, Allie, like, he needs you. Like, you're really good together. I don't think that
so she was trying to convince you to stay with him even after learning that he.
Yeah, she was like, you should go travel with him to his shows this weekend. I'm like, first of all, what shows?
All right, so that's just, problematic for sure. And, it just, people are blinded. The friendships, Lisa Vanderpump, close with James Kennedy, sees the best in him. But we don't always live up to the best version of ourselves, now do we? So good for Allie for getting out of that relationship. And hopefully she can find one where she's, I think she said in a quote that she was treating these relationships where she was dating these alcoholics. And her therapist said, your father died of alcoholism. And it seems like you're dating men in sort of a weird roundabout way where you're actually trying to save your father. And boy, isn't it great to go to therapy? Isn't it nice to learn a little bit about herself in therapy? So we wish Allie the best. All right. Coming up next, we've got the letter that the Justin Baldoni legal team wrote to the judge in their case, Blake Lively versus Justin Baldoni. That next. Let's be honest, sometimes no matter how much you want to be in the mood, your mind and body just aren't on the same page. This episode is sponsored by Fyre, the brand behind the most loved THC libido gummy on the market, designed to enhance intimacy, heighten pleasure, and help you fully embrace the moment. Originally created as a limited edition Valentine's release, High Love was such a massive hit that Fyre made it a permanent part of the lineup, helping adults feel more connected than ever before. Fyre legally ships nationwide, direct to your door, no medical card required, and backed by a worry-free guarantee. If you're 21 plus, check out the link to Fyre in our description and treat yourself to Fyre's annual Spring 420 sale. Black Friday level savings up to 35% site-wise right now, up to 50% off packs and bundles, and get a free gift and more savings with your first order using our exclusive code RUSHHOUR. Plus, enjoy free shipping on orders over $100. That's code RUSHHOUR at the link in our description. After you purchase, they ask you where you heard about them. Please support our show. Tell them we send you. Enhance your everyday with Fyre. Okay, up to the Baldoni stuff. All my Baldoni bobbleheads out there. Is that the name for the Baldoni fans? The Baldoni bobbleheads? Either way, here's the Wayfarer, just Baldoni's side. Here's their email, their email to the judge. They're asking for an extension of time for all parties to respond to the interrogatories served by their respective adversaries in a move to amend their pleadings or to join other parties. No previous request for an extension of time has been made with respect to these items. So what they're saying is, look, we're not abusing anyone's time here. We just need more time to get into this. What's an interrogatory? In law, interrogatories are a formal set of written questions propounded by one litigant and required to be answered by an adversary in order to clarify matters of fact and to help to determine in advance what facts will be presented at any trial in the case. Now, there's a lot going on. There's hundreds of millions of dollars on the line. But in the end, even with the help of ChatGPT, these are just humans doing work. And what they say here is insane, right? In the aggregate, the Wayfair parties were served with 31 different sets of interrogatories from Blake Lively, Ryan Reynolds, Leslie Sloan, and Vision PR. Together, the Lively and Sloan parties have served nearly 1,600 requests for production and 179 interrogatories, an excessive number of discovery demands, to which the Wayfair parties have been diligently preparing responses. Setting aside the obvious yet troubling implication that the Lively and Sloan parties do not actually know what they are looking for, the Wayfair parties have already responded in good faith to more than 500 such requests, with hundreds of additional responses expected in short order. Given that the Wayfair parties have been engaged in extensive briefing in the past few weeks in connection with the motion to dismiss, and given that all parties served their discovery requests virtually simultaneously, the Wayfair parties proposed a mutual extension from April 14th to May 14th for the parties to respond to any interrogatories served upon them. So we'll have to see what the judge says. But again, the Lively's team made like an 800-page document to Jed Wallace, which, by the way, after the morning rush, we're going to have a video that discusses Jed Wallace's response to the Blake Lively's response to his motion to dismiss. It's a lot, but this is all very important, and we're learning a lot. You can take this as a learning experience, all right? I mean, there's a lot going on here and a lot to look into. So they want more time. And again, will this push back the trial? Things are moving fast. You know, when you look at a trial, you go, wow, geez, March 2026, how can we wait till then? But then when you see all of the work that goes into the pre-trial motions and all of that, boy, and they are spending, I mean, I don't know, 50 grand a day, 100 grand a day. I mean, who knows at this point? I mean, millions and millions of dollars in legal fees. So the only people getting rich here, assuming the bills are paid, are going to be the lawyers. That's for dang sure. Although good news, we have good news for Baldoni's Wayfair Studios. They received the New York Times Critics' Pick, which is kind of ironic since the New York Times also, they're suing. They're suing the New York Times, and their movie's so good, even the opinion writers are saying, you know what? It's a pretty good movie. And this is, of course, A Nice Indian Boy. So this is a movie that Baldoni and Wayfair produced. It's got like a 97% on Rotten Tomatoes, so it's in limited release. But if you're like me, you'll probably wait till it's on Netflix because your boy doesn't want to deal with someone coughing behind me, and then my wife's got to wonder if the kid's got measles, right? Anyhow, let's move it on from here. So there's your pop culture updates. But we have a lot in the political world. I mean, this is something that affects each and every one of us, that being the sort of strength or lack thereof of the economy. So the stock market rebounded yesterday as Donald Trump decided to put a 90-day pause on tariffs. Meanwhile, those that call out grifting online, like CoffeeZilla, he's famously called out Trump's Trump coin, his they call it a shit coin, right? Days before Trump became president, he creates this coin which anyone can invest in, and then they pull the rug out. All the early investors get rich, and then everyone who invests, the stocks immediately go down because these coins are worth nothing, right? It's e-coins. No one knows what the hell they are. It's a Ponzi scheme. Well, CoffeeZilla says this: laughing my ass off, LMAO. LMAO. ROTFL LMAO. That's when you're rolling on the floor laughing your ass off. That's when it's really funny. Trump front ran his own announcement to pause tariffs by saying it's a great time to buy, 3 hours before huge news for stocks hit. This is levels of insanity we've never seen before. And the truth is, it's a question of insider trading. Now, you might, from the outside looking in, you might say, Dave with the nice hair, you old millennial, you're rolling on the floor with Trump derangement syndrome. But when you really look into what's happening here, you see 3 hours before he announces publicly that the tariffs will be paused, there is a spike because he says it's a great time to buy. So folks, and people are wondering, is there a signal chat of insiders trading stocks? Now look, we already know that insider trading exists. To be quite fair, people on the left and the right, the Democrats and the Republicans both do it. Folks like Nancy Pelosi and people on the right like Dan Crenshaw, they do it. It happens. We know it. Anyone who works as a political leader in Congress, Senate, House of Reps, President, they should all have their money in a mutual fund where they can't do anything nefarious because it's fraudulent. So Trump, before getting into office, also was selling a $100,000 watch, which, by the way, I don't think they ever made. There was photo renderings of what it would look like, but it just goes to show anyone can donate. The reason why you get rid of your business, I think it was Jimmy Carter, right, who had the peanut farm he had to give up. The reason you get rid of all the other businesses is so you can't be bought. If Trump has a hotel and he wants to charge people $50,000 a night for the hotel, and some Saudi, billionaire says, I'll buy the hotel for 600 days, just get a meeting with my cousin over here about some oil deal, that's a conflict of interest, right? We know that exists. You sound like a crazy person even arguing that. But here is explained perfectly by Senator Murphy just exactly how sinister it is what went down yesterday. Have a listen.
So I have questions about the tariff announcements today. Who benefited and who made money? And this should matter to you too, because this could be an enormous scam. What we know is that about 9:30 today, Trump posts on social media that people should buy. It's a good time to buy. And then 3 hours later, guess what? He announces that there's going to be a 90-day suspension of many of the tariffs. Predictably, the market, which had been crashing, shoots up, and anyone who made investments early today likely made a lot of money. And so the question is, who close to Trump knew that he was going to suspend the tariffs? Which of his Mar-a-Lago friends or his billionaire advisors were able to capitalize on that inside information? Why did Trump send out that post to his supporters earlier in the day? The bottom line is that the chaotic nature of this tariff policy, with Trump's position changing every single hour, gives ample opportunity for any individual who has early access to information about the White House's change in position to make boatloads of money, either by investing at the right time or pulling their money out of the market at the right time. This entire White House is one giant grift. Donald Trump and his friends are in power in order to use their access to government to make money. It stinks, and we should get to the bottom of it.
Knock it off. Yeah, you got to just cut it out. Knock it off with these insider tradings you're doing out there. Seriously, though, this is ridiculous. You know, any amount of power that comes from the government, it's a privilege what they do, right? They work for the people. Now, look, if you were some random YouTuber hawking some Hawk-Tua coin, you know, and you scam somebody, sure, that's illegal, but also, like, you unfollow that person, you move on with your life. This is the dang president of the United States of America, and he's using tariffs and just dangling them over countries as collateral damage to, you know, what I don't know, you know, so now we have 90 days, he kicks the can down the road, and then in 90 days, maybe the stock market crashes again, and then he signal chats his friends that he's going to pause the tariffs again. And like, what's going to happen with this? We saw with Canada and Mexico how reckless these tariff situations were, trying to stop fentanyl in Canada. Fentanyl doesn't even come from Canada, not in any significant amount, but he uses that as an emergency reason to do an emergency tariff. So here we have more people, Adam Schiff, saying, you know, it's going to come out who took part in this. And this is the big problem, right, for folks out there, is anyone who's complicit with the grift that he's doing right now, the best thing that folks can do when it comes time is vote them the F out of office.
There is just all too much opportunity for people in the White House and the administration to be insider trading, and you can't put it past them for a minute. We can look at eventually what people are buying and selling. This will come out, but an administration that has their own meme coins and is already engaged in self-interested dealing with Elon is doging agencies that are doing oversight of his own businesses. In that kind of corrupt climate, you have to assume the worst, and we're going to try to find out.
I don't know what they've done with the Securities and Exchange Commission, but they've actually got super sophisticated software to be able to figure this stuff out within seconds. So if people were trading inappropriately, that will be understood. You'd have to figure out a pattern here, and that's, you know, the important part. This is actually chaos. The White House today, Scott Bessent, the White House press secretary, they all described this as the art of the deal and fancy negotiations. This is BS. Not only were they endangering the American economy, just be clear about this. There are people who are 60 years old or 65 or 70 or 75 who looked at this market and said, I don't have the stomach or the range of life for this. People sold their stock. into a falling market.
Yeah, so that's what it comes down to, right? Those that couldn't afford to ride it out, like someone that might need to retire, maybe they have to pay for their cancer treatment. They say the stock's already fallen, I've lost 20% of my life savings, I'm just going to sell now. Then the stock goes up, they've already sold. So the rich get richer, the poor get poorer. That's just exactly how it works because not everybody has the privilege to hold. So anyway, people are wondering, of course they're going to spin this as a win, right? The White House is spinning this as a win. But here is somebody on Fox Business explaining how this is President Trump blinking, because as the prices were going down, as the stock market was crashing, and the bond market was also, people pulling their money out, he realized he needed to do something. And, it's good that he did, but also it's not like the stock market has rallied back. It's only gone up a percentage of the crash that we had. Have a listen to this.
Let's be clear what happened. Who capitulated here and why? And I don't want to say this because I'm a patriot. I'm an American. But it is the White House who capitulated based on everything I hear and all my sources. And the reason why is because of the bond market and what happened last night. Bessent knows this better than anybody. When you have yields on the 10-year rising to 5%, stuff starts shutting down when you have the lending markets screwed up. By the way, who was dumping the bonds? Somebody asked them if it was China, right? Mm-hmm. It wasn't. It was Japan.
So what that means essentially is our own allies were saying, we don't want to do business with America right now. We don't want to be a part of this volatility. And while Trump's team is saying, no, this is a good win for us, we're going to renegotiate this. They broke the system with tariffs. Now they're pushing the tariff back 90 days. So they're trying to fix something they broke and then show us that, hey, look, we fixed it. But now it's all duct taped together. It doesn't work as well. And we have gotten nothing out of it. Here is LBC, our old British friends here, talking about how this Trump lost all his credibility. Huh?
Well, I think Trump invented a new word the other day, panican, and it turns out it's a self-descriptor, right? I mean, he's literally backpedaled on everything that he said he wouldn't do. I think Ian's hit the nail on the head when he talks about the bond markets. I mean, this is now costing the US government more money to run their own state because of his actions. And so it's comparable to Liz Truss, really. It's kind of a moment where he wants to have this big bang and actually he's having to cycle backwards pretty quickly. It's obvious the damage it's done to the stock markets. It's obvious the damage it's done to the stability of the global economy. But I think it's also becoming increasingly obvious that those people that have decided to retaliate and stand together and told they would be punished for doing so haven't been. So he's lost all leverage in this negotiation with the rest of the world now.
Yeah, the rest of the world, they're forming their own trade deals, right? There's this idea that we had Japan as a trading partner and we had South Korea and we had other places as trading partners. And now we have the Asian countries coming together to figure out their own shit without us because it's unreliable. Folks don't want to be trading. Other countries don't want to be trading in a system where tariffs are going to come and go depending on the way the wind blows. So this is where it really gets insanely gaslighty. This is Bessent speaking about, oh, Trump wanted to do this. You ever seen one of those shows where someone trips and falls to the ground, but a pretty girl's watching, so they just pretend like they're doing push-ups? I think that's what this is. This is Trump pretending like I wanted to crash the stock market. I don't think he wanted to crash it at all. I just think after it did crash, he knew he would push the tariffs down the road, and that's when the insider trading began. Have a listen to this.
He and I had a long talk on Sunday, and this was his strategy all along, and that you might even say that he goaded China into a bad position. They responded. They have shown themselves to the world to be the bad actors, and we are willing to cooperate with our allies and with our trading partners who did not retaliate. It wasn't a hard message. Don't retaliate. Things will turn out well. He and I had a
pretty wild. Don't retaliate. Things will turn out well. Okay. All right. How we doing, folks? We doing okay out there? It's pretty wild stuff, isn't it? Here's our pal Bernie Sanders.
President Trump posted on social media that it was, quote, a great time to buy stocks. A few hours later, he announced a pause on tariffs, which sent the market skyrocketing. Your colleague, Senator Adam Schiff, says Congress should investigate whether Trump and his inner circle engage in insider trading. Do you agree?
I noticed that. And that's just one of another outrageous things. Imagine, I don't know for a fact, But would I be surprised if there were people who hours before knew exactly what Trump was going to do in rescinding his tariff proposals, understanding that the stock market would soar and you make huge amounts of money? Would I be shocked if we learned about that in the days to come? No, I would not.
Does that announcement that he gave cover to anybody who did buy stocks?
Well, what it does do, look, if you know 2 hours earlier that the stock market's going to go, what are you going to do? You're going to buy a hell of a lot of stock. You can invest in the stock market.
So I guess Anderson Cooper is saying, well, because he tweeted it out, that it's not insider trading, it's actually outsider trading. Now, look, it's semantics here, really, when it comes down to it. It's reckless, and it's really at the cost of America's credibility. And we saw this a mile away. I mean, this is literally yesterday. The White House press secretary saying, no, these tariffs, these are for real. Because the idea with the tariff is you do it long enough, for years, in order to bring companies back, right? Corporations back into the U.S. We're going to tariff foreign products, so if it's made in America, you won't be tariffed. It's the idea to bring companies back, and it works on a very specific level, maybe with steel or maybe with certain industries. But the fact that these companies know that you're not going to hold on to the tariffs means they're not going to come back. They're just going to ride it out. They're going to circumvent the system any way they can. Listen to the difference between Caroline Leavitt yesterday versus today, and you tell me if we have a credibility problem.
The president was asked and answered this yesterday. He said he's not considering an extension or a delay. I spoke to him before this briefing. That was not his mindset. He expects that these tariffs are going to go into effect. And there will be a 90-day pause on the reciprocal tariffs as these negotiations are ongoing, and the tariff level will be brought down to a universal 10% tariff. Many of you in the media clearly missed the art of the deal. You clearly failed to see what President Trump is doing here.
Okie dokie. That's the art of the deal, folks. I mean, come on, this is garbage, right? The art of the deal. This isn't how it works. Okay, this isn't some hotel chain where you can bully people around. This is the United States of America. So this idea that it's the art of the deal. I didn't sign up for this deal. Did you guys? Did you guys sign up? Did your parents, who might want to retire and have a healthy stock market, did they sign up for the deal? And again, we'll have to see what we get from it. We'll have to see what sort of buying power the U.S. actually has with regards to the global economy. Are folks gonna play ball with Trump, or are they just going to placate him as long as possible so that he can have his tail between his legs when he realizes this is a giant failure? I am struggling to see people defending the art of the deal. I hope folks like Caroline Leavitt never have another political job ever after this. I mean, she's a young lady. I think she realizes she'll probably never work again, or anyone that's attached to the grift and the scam. And maybe that's why they're trying to fill their pockets as much as they can right now. Hey, let me know what you guys think. You can fill my pockets all you want. Patreon.com/Dave Neal. No insider trading there. That's where I'll be. Live streaming this morning as we cover all the day's news. I'm actually doing a radio show later today. I got a bunch of interviews coming up, so stick around for those. Make sure on YouTube you're subscribed. I've been being alerted by people that their subscribe button has been faulty and they find out they're not subscribed. So I don't know if that's a deep state Ryan Reynolds job there, if the Mint Mobile money's coming into the keyboard and unsubscribing you, but double check on that one. And then we'll be back this afternoon to wrap it all up. As always, I'm Dave Neal, and this is The Rush.